everyone, wherever you're watching in the world. Welcome back to F1 Esports Series Challengers, where today we're heading for the PS4 rounds 3 and 4, which first take us to the Netherlands and then to Austria for two high-octane races coming your way. My name is Kieran McGinley, and joining me, of course, in the commentary box is Mr. Justin Sutton. Justin, we saw some great races last time out, pedal to the metal stuff, but how are you doing tonight, and what are you expecting tonight?
I'm doing fantastic. Sorry about that.
He's woken up.
Yeah, I'm doing great. I'm so excited that I forgot to unmute. It's going to be a fantastic time. It was so good last time. We got 6 fantastic races, actually, out of the 3 different platforms, 2 different races per platform, and it seems that this one is going to be, I would assume, just as good, if not better. I'm very, very excited, and the people at home should be too.
Absolutely. And if you missed the last 2 rounds, well, where were you? We saw some great racing action, which, Vietnam, then we had, of course, the Shanghai International Circuit in China. What that does to the standings, though, is that a win and 5th place is enough for Timon Shooter to top the standings right now. He's on 35 points. Domenico Lavecce is in 2nd place. There you can see Guillaume de Runia, the other race winner in China, 3rd place in the standings so far. Then it's Nicolas Classani, Javier Perez, Marcel Oldstadt, rounding off the top 6, and that top 6, Justin, will become harder and harder to actually break into as this series goes on.
Yeah, exactly right. It's going to get more and more competitive, more and more desperate as these rounds tick by. They've only got 10 races total, which is quite a bit shorter than what you would normally get from a normal full season of Formula One. So they really, really are limited on the amount of time that they have to prove themselves.
Yes, and there you can see the rest of the order down towards Gianpietro Oggiano, who is a new entrant in towards this one. It's always difficult starting mid-season, let alone when 2 races have just happened before, but I'm assuming Gianpietro's done his homework here tonight. What can sort of his expectations be of these 2 races tonight?
Well, yeah, he's coming into it obviously with 0 points, and he's got less races to try and, prove himself compared to the rest of the grid. But with 8 races to go, I would say that's plenty of time. Maybe if I were him, I would just constantly remind people on social media, that he missed out on a couple of races, just so nobody forgets that. But yeah, there's still lots and lots of racing still to go, so plenty of time for him to show himself off to the teams and the people who will ultimately decide if he's going to drive in the 2021 Pro Series.
Absolutely, and our first round takes us to the Netherlands there. 4.2 kilometers takes us round this tight, twisting Zandvoort circuit. Very narrow, overtaking opportunities limited, but let's take you on a lap.
Hi, my name is Max Verstappen, driving for Aston Martin Rebel Racing, and here I am to take you around a lap at the Zandvoort circuit. It's an old school circuit. Let's check it out. Straight away what you can see is the first corner. You can brake very late. The corner is a bit cambered, but of course also easy to lock an inside wheel. On the exit you try to run as wide as you can. Then turn 2, all about positioning yourself off. Turn 3, which is now massively cambered, so a lot more speed compared to before. Again, use all the road on the exit. And then this is basically all flat out, but with a great scenery. And then you come to the corner, which is the most fun. It's a very fast corner in F1. And again, here you set yourself up, very fast right-hander, use all the track available, and again, try to brake on the left to open up this corner on the exit. Always a bit of oversteer. And going into this one, again, you use the whole road on the entry. And again, on the exit, you try to maximize as much as you can. A lot of fans on the left and the right. Late braking into this one. Right-hander, you sacrifice a bit to open it up for the left-hander. Again, tricky corner. On the exit, a bit of oversteer. And then this is a very fast corner again in F1. It's all about hitting the apex well and go early on throttle. And then, of course, the last corner massively banked. And you open the DRS. And that's a lap of Zandvoort.
Really was no one else we could have done to do that lap, really, was there, Justin? At the end of the day, the Dutchman Max Verstappen taking us on a lap around the circuit. One thing he did mention that we haven't actually said yet, the amount of banking on this circuit, allowing you to take a bit more speed into those corners.
Yeah, it's an interesting feature of the Zandvoort track, which we don't see a whole lot in modern F1 circuits. So it's going to be really interesting to see how, if at all, really this affects the drivers today.
Well, absolutely, and it's such a narrow circuit as well, so qualifying coming up is going to be critical, trying to maximise the lap time possible here, so getting yourself on that front row is more important than ever. Such a tight circuit here, but if you don't get qualifying right, then what could be the strategy here?
Alternate strategy, certainly. You know, anytime overtaking is difficult, you want to be thinking about getting yourself into clean air one way or another. If that means, you know, if you're one of the guys starting from outside the top 10, means going for a different tire compound, then, you know, that's what it's going to take. So we did see, in particular with the PS4 guys, the alternate tire strategy work out quite well for Gil in China, for example, where, of course, that was a bit of a special circumstance where everyone could pick whatever tires they wanted. And he took that early lead on the softs and just kind of ran away with it. And it worked out fantastically for him. So I imagine several people, once the qualifying session is over and they have to decide what they're going to do for the race, they're going to be thinking about exactly that kind of strategy.
They are indeed, and we head now, hopefully, towards the event now. The first round will be taking us to Zandvoort for the Dutch Grand Prix. And if you're unfamiliar with this format, if you missed out on the first two races, then let's bring you up to speed. Qualifying, short qualifying of 18 minutes to decide the grid order for the first race. We then go into a 25% race. The second race is one-shot qualifying into the 25% race. So this is really the biggest opportunity the drivers have to get a lap time on the board. They'll only get one chance when we head to Austria later on, really testing that capacity and testing that nerve and setting the right lap time at the right time. But here we can see we've got Timon here, our championship leader, or I should say our series leader so far on the PS4 side. I mean, all eyes will be watching that Mercedes tonight.
Yeah, one of the race winners as well, and as you said, you know, leading the championship as it stands right now. Not a massive gap though; it's only 2 points down to Domi, who of course had those double podium appearances. The only driver on the PS4 side to feature on both of the podiums last time out in Vietnam and China. So, but yeah, Timon definitely, I think, had a big statement. It was just kind of the way that he won his race last time out in December for the first event as well, which I think really kind of made the eyebrows perk up a little bit for everybody watching, including those watching representing the teams.
Absolutely, and Timon Shooter takes us through then all the way towards that long banking in towards turn 3, and of course the exit here is uphill, so it helps with the traction somewhat, but just after that banking there's a little bit of a bump there that can really unsettle the car if you go full throttle too early. And as Verstappen just said earlier on in that hot lap there, turn 7 looks like a hugely fun corner. Chuck the car in, flick it in, hope it sticks with the amount of aero you've put on the car, and then we head our way in through turn 9, onwards then towards turn 10, tightening apex corner, trying to get the car steered in towards the apex there as Dario now goes fastest then on that 108.2 as aero quickly beats him to it, 108.207, still riding on board with the Mercedes of Timon Shooter now as he now makes his way through turn 12. Onwards we go then towards the final two corners, turn 13, down the gear, hit the apex, full throttle now all the way towards that start-finish line, and you'll see there Shooter getting to the inside and making that run to the line as short as he possibly can. That's the racer across the line, 108.055, Timon 108.093. It's enough for the front row for now.
Impressive stuff from Vasta Racer, because that looked like a very tidy lap from Timon, actually. I have to say things were looking very good, but as you would expect, very, very tight at the top as Domi now slots into third position. Once again, Domi featuring in the top 3, so it seems he's making that a bit of a habit at this point, as Aero not that far behind, just over half a second adrift in fourth. For Shizou. In fact, a couple of Shizou drivers in 4th and 5th position at the moment. Lots of times coming in, and in fact, it is unsurprisingly quite tight. Just over 0.5 of a second down to Petrix in 13th position, who is already proving to us that he's on the pace of the other guys.
Yeah, and that's amazing, isn't it? I mean, we're just over half a second covering the top 13 so far. I mean, we've still got 13 and a half minutes left of this session to go, so still plenty of time to get a faster lap time on the board. Here comes Name Changer towards the line, always a bit off-putting, whether they come into the pits or not. 108.545 now puts him onto that lead row of the 7th row of the grid. 13th place for Name Changer with that latest lap time.
Running the same name as last time, too, so he's a bit of a liar, that one. But slotting into 13th, as you said, and yeah, it's a really short lap here as well, too. Very, very short. Less than 70 seconds to complete it. So, yeah, that kind of gap for a lap time that's this short is even more impressive.
Yeah, and of course, it's not even the shortest track we're going to tonight. If we're heading to 68 seconds, possibly 67 seconds, then just you wait till Austria when we get to even closer to that 60-second threshold. But as you can see then on the standings, we do have Valentin Bruffa, who's at the top there. That is Vasta Racer, currently in the Ferrari. Now, of course, these are equal cars if you haven't seen this before, so all the cars perform exactly the same. So it doesn't matter which driver is in which car, they all perform the same. And that's so important here, so it gets us on that level playing field to show everybody out there on this stage what exactly you can do.
You know, it's extra impressive from Vasta Racer as well, considering he didn't have the best of performances last time in December for Event 1. The first race only picking up a single championship point, actually, in Vietnam in 10th position, improving that to 7th position for the Chinese Grand Prix, which was, of course, immediately after. So that pole time is pretty impressive stuff. I'm not ultra familiar with him as a driver, but I mean, that is quite the statement of intent. Clearly, he was busy over the past few weeks.
Well, yes, he's currently 11th in the series right now, Dario Yemolo, on 7 points. Of course, a couple of points away from that threshold. It's about 8 points from 6th place right now. But as you obviously know, with the point scoring system, it heavily favours top half finishes. So if you can get yourself into that top 8, maybe even the top 4, you've got a really good chance of getting yourself and really propelling yourself up the table into that top 6. Remember, after the 10 rounds, the 6 highest point scoring drivers in the series will then progress on for a chance to race in that pro exhibition as their sort of last chance to show off to all the teams what they are capable of. As Yemolo now makes his way in towards turn 3, and you can just see the banking just from that camera angle. The car dips down as you're braking. So easy to lock up those tyres there as you make your way through, but Yemolo does well as he now negotiates his way through this second part of the track, through that flying turn 7, and the car wanting to give way to him, but he's able to keep it under wraps as he now makes his way in through turn 9. Of course, trying to make sure you hook the car up, hit the apex in through this middle part of the circuit through turn number 10. That left-hander seems like it goes on for a long time, but as long as you hit the apex there, you've got a good chance. Over that crest we go towards turns 11 and 12, and again, as Max Verstappen said, sacrifice turn 11 to make sure you get the best exit out of turn 12, making his way through the penultimate corner through turn 13, using a bit of curve on the left-hand side to open up the corner, through the high banking of turn 14, and onwards now towards that start-finish line. It's currently P5 for Dario Yemolo. He now goes fastest, 108.011 from the Italian, now puts him on provisional pole.
Quite an improvement, actually, considering there was no change of compound or anything like that. Found quite a bit of time. Of course, the circuit getting faster and faster as the drivers out there to continue to put more and more rubber down. Having a look at Matthias, who had that incident in China, unfortunately, on the opening lap, was going for that dive bomb maneuver, and just unfortunately things did not work out for him, and had a bit of a rough time. But did nearly make a top 5 finish in Vietnam. Certainly looking to bounce back. He was one of the guys that certainly seemed quicker than his results showed last time out. So this is another driver that I'm going to have my eye on. I mean, again, we touched on this last time. This may be the most competitive grid we've ever had for Challengers.
Yes, and it gets better and better, of course. If you haven't watched any of the Xbox or PC ones, I suggest you watch them, obviously, after this stream, obviously. But there you can see Matthias van Erven, currently 9th place in the standings with 8 points. That's where I got the confusion from. So early on in this stage, hasn't quite gone to plan so far, but he's currently on the second row of the grid. And you can see Matthias and Vasta Racer there within 1/1000th of each other. Talk about close.
That's incredible. I'm sure Ferrari would like that sort of gap in real qualifying.
I'm sure they would, as Domi has actually now broken into the 107. So 107.9 is now the fastest lap of the day. So Domenico Lovecchio puts himself on provisional pole position. We're riding on board then with Zach as he now negotiates his way through. Isaac Hajar, who's currently within 5 points of that 6th place in the series, 7th place so far, tied on points with Duncan Hoffland out there. So at the moment, he's just trying his best to get the points on the board and move himself into that top 6. He now makes his way through those final couple of corners. I don't believe he's on some sort of flying lap unless he turns up the ERS mode now. Nope, he's going to dive in towards the pit lane then, braking hard, trying to make sure you slow down before that speed limit line. That's going to be one that catches out quite a few drivers here today.
One of the nice parts about having such a short lap, though, is you can abandon your lap like that and get back out there relatively quickly and still get 3 runs in with this 18-minute qualifying session. So, again, just because it's so easy to quickly get back into the pits, fit a new set of tires, all that kind of stuff. Gil is coming into the pits, it seems. So, yeah, we're just coming to the end of the second runs. Or for those that had to abort their second run, they'll be getting right back out straight away, actually, to try and get that time on the board before giving it their final attempt in just a few minutes' time.
Yep, riding on board now with Schumacher, currently 13th place in the standings so far. Of course, that is Marcel Olstadt, who finds himself within the top 6 right now in that McLaren. 108.3 from him so far, currently on a flying lap as he negotiates through that quick 5-6 through turn 7 there, as he now makes his way through, just trying to keep that car, planted to the ground going through turn 7. I've been through there many times in sort of career modes, and I always seem to find I lose the rear end through there, but maybe that's just me.
Yeah, this is why we're on this side of the competition and not the other side.
Yeah, that really would explain it.
Schumacher, though, one of those guys that definitely made a name for himself last time in that hectic Chinese Grand Prix that we had last time on the PS4 side. And one of the most positions gained out of anybody that we saw during the course of that week last time. Actually started that race in 11th. And ended up finishing in 3rd position, did Schumacher. So a great week, or at least one great race last time out in China. He does move himself up into 6th position with just over 6 minutes still to go. Patrick's, again, the newcomer, currently in 16th position, but that is a fairly competitive lap time. It's not completely ridiculous or anything like that, but it'll be interesting to see if he's able to improve. His I wouldn't say teammate, but the other Red Bull getting nicely out of the way there. Again, everybody tends to do a great job of being aware of one another during these qualifying sessions because, of course, they want to be treated the same way. So, he does improve. He finds a couple of tenths, which is sort of what we've been seeing. Everybody's been finding a couple of tenths, more or less. Depends on how hard they were pushing on the first run versus the second run. But he finds a couple of tenths, which is good enough to move him up into 14th position.
Yeah, and as you can see, riding on board with Valentin Bruffer there as he makes his way through turn 1, trying to keep the car nice and tidy on exit. Of course, using that curve to open up the exit, flick it in towards turn 2. Then you start trail braking in through 3 there. Don't worry if you missed the apex. The banking can help you on the apex or on the exit off the corner as we now make our way through turns 4, 5 and 6 as we just flying through on board with the Ferrari driver, making our way through turn 7 there, of course, sticking it in 7th gear before we go down a gear into 6th through that flying turn 8, then down to 3rd through turn 9, and currently on the second row of the grid, 108.015. Just want to draw your attention to the fact that this entire field is covered by within 0.6 of a second, and that's only just if we count 15th and 16th place so far. If you only go up to 14th place, well, you're looking at now half a second because Matthias van Erven has just gone fastest then in this session. Another 107, but this time it's a 107.8, so it shows you the track is evolving out there. We'll have to wait and see what that Ferrari driver will do in Vasterracer. He will go top 107.7 then, so this track really is starting to improve in the closing stages of this session.
They aren't separated by a tenth this time. Vasterracer with a much better second run compared to Matthias, even though Matthias getting a really good run. I thought that 107.8 was really, really strong, but Vasterracer, oh man, that's an impressive one. Boss in the Haas at the moment, currently in 13th position, and I believe on a hot lap as it stands right now. So we'll see where Diego can put that Haas. And will this be the final attempt for him? Can he get back out? Yeah, I would say again, very short lap, 11th position, 108.1. is what the Haas driver is able to manage. But again, I think he can get back into the pits, change those tires, get back out, and set one more lap time. But it's going to be right on the edge.
It is. It's going to be so close. But of course, if you run to the wire, you get yourself the best opportunity of having the best evolved track. If you're the last person across that line before the timer expires, in theory, you have the best track possible as you go round. So it's trying to make sure you're the last person to beat that timer, but of course you've got to make sure that you time it so that you don't get that checkered flag. There is Zach then making his way in towards the pit lane, currently P9, and a 108.065 is an impressive time nonetheless, but in this Challenger series here on PS4 it's only good enough for 9th.
It's really impressive, the level of competition that we see each year and the way it grows and improves. Javi Vera, by the way, who we're having a look at, one of the only cars actually out on track, not currently sitting in the pits. So just glad to have anybody to look at the moment, if we're honest. But Javi Vera, one of those drivers that both excelled and had a bit of disappointment last time out at Vietnam and China. He got that podium result in Vietnam, finished in second position, just 2 seconds behind Timon, which was a very impressive drive from the Mercedes driver. But Javi Vera with that really good second place finish, and then just had an incident, I believe, if I remember correctly, in China that unfortunately just put him out of sync and made things that little bit harder. No points in China. So one of those drivers that I would imagine is going to be looking for not just one good result this week, but two.
Yeah, definitely. And, your entire series isn't defined by one or two bad races. It's you're consistently all the way through. I mean, you're going to have teams looking back at these races and wondering how you dealt with adversity. That's one of the first things they look at. How did you solve a problem? Did it go your way? If not, or did you stick it out? Did you just try and go for the fastest lap instead, as we've got there? That's Schumacher, Marcel Olstad, who has to dive straight out of the way of Javi Vera. Then as we ride on board with him, gets slightly onto the grass there. That might cost him a tenth or two, and of course in this series here I think he's backed out of it, so what he's going to do now is back out of it completely, try and save as much fuel, harvest more energy, and go for one more flying lap.
Yeah, which is part of the difficult side, very technical side of these modern cars and stuff. And he's got not just fuel to worry about, but also the battery and the tires and a whole lot of other things. These cars are very, very temperamental, and he wants to make sure that the car is as happy as possible before starting that final attempt, because we are getting right down to the wire. There is 1 minute remaining in this qualifying session.
In a case of no after you, a case of etiquette down that little bit of a back straight towards turn 13, and we don't want to be seeing that too much towards especially the last 15 seconds of the session, but it looks like everybody is just about evenly spaced out in that scenario to get themselves enough clear air, because Justin, what you don't want is a little bit of dirty air on your last flying lap.
You really, really don't. I mean, that's. It would be nice to pick up a little bit of slipstream at points of the circuit, but no, the places where you pick up the dirty air, yeah, you really don't want to be anywhere near a car ahead of you or anything like that. So yeah, you really just want a nice gap. We don't want a case of Monza where we see people backing up, and people just missing out on their final runs. That's really not what you want. But I think a lot of these drivers have a lot of experience. They know that it's much better to get a slightly hindered run in rather than to get no run in at all. So. Yeah, in fact, the checker flag just came out just now, so the drivers will be able to finish their laps. I do wonder if Nardi got to the line. I'm going to assume he did. There's often a little bit of a delay there, but yeah, I think Nardi just crossed the line, which means he's probably going to be the last car across the line to set a time.
Yep, so here comes Matthias Van Erven. Then as he makes his way towards the line, can he get higher than fourth place in this session? No, he can't. 7.894 remains his fastest lap time. Zach stays in P10. Petrox then on debut up to 11th place. So he's the first of the finishers outside of the top 10, quickly displaced by Klasani then in 11th place. Here we see Aero now making his way through the final banked corner. Vasta Racer goes top, 107.6 from Vasta Racer. Can Aero get close to that? 107.9 is good enough for third row on the grid. Sixth place for Aero, as we still got lap times from Domi and Dario heading towards the line. Gil has come back into the pit, so 10th place at least for Gil in this one. Race winner in China last time out, and enough for 11th place so far, as Domi still 107.8. You've got Dario on a 107.861. Here comes Falconardi then onwards towards the start finish line. Can he improve from 10th place on the grid? Crosses that line, goes P4. 107.891 as Domi and Dario come back into the pit. So Timon is the only one that doesn't have a sort of status next to his name. We'll certainly see if that changes. For now, we're assuming that he is some sort of lap time and shooter. Currently 6th place, 107.895, enough for third row on the grid. Right now, though, it is Vasta Racer who is on pole. There is Timon then coming into the pit. So pole position for the Netherlands Grand Prix. It is Valentin Bruffer on pole position.
Wow. I am surprised by that one, to be honest. I thought some of the heavy hitters would have been a little bit further up, but yeah, a nice mix up here.
It is indeed, and there you can see Vasta Racer in Valentin Bruffer on pole position. Domenico Lavecce in Domi is in second place, and then that is Dario Yemolo in third place. Looking at the rest of the order, we have Nardi, Matthias, Timon, Aero, Schumacher, Boss, and Simo rounding up the top 10. Gil in 11th place with Zach, Klasani, Petrux, Habibera, and Name Changer all at the back end of the field. Remember, top 10 have to start on the tyre they just set their fastest lap in. So that will all be soft tyres for the top 10. Anyone outside of the top 10 will have free range of tyre. That's the important one. Free range of fresh tyre, whereas the top 10 have to start on the tyres they've just used. And we've already seen this season so far, Justin, that there is a positive for 11th place in qualifying. It's not the end of the world.
Yeah, again, last time out at Shanghai, we saw Schumacher go 11th to 3rd on an alternate. Or actually, I don't remember if that was an alternate. No, it wasn't, because, yeah, that would have been the wet qualifying, of course, that we had in China. But Gilles' win, actually, was an alternate strategy, technically, because he went onto the softs when everybody else went onto the mediums. So, yeah, it's going to be interesting to see what he can do. I will say, Javi Vera way down in, what was it, 15th position? That is really low. I was expecting him a little bit further up, if I'm honest.
Yeah, and also a tough session for one of the top drivers out there in Guillaume Darunia. 25 points in the season so far. However, he starts outside of the top 10, maybe prioritising a little bit of an alternate strategy. We've seen something like that from him before.
Klasani as well, starting way down in 13th position. He is 4th in the standings with 24 points coming into this race. And he's starting from the 7th row of the grid out of 8. That's got to be frustrating. But, as you said, as I've said, alternate strategies can work, and you can really, really, really impress some people if you can make that happen. So they have to see this as an opportunity, not a problem.
Well, here we go then, on towards the race then, as we count up to those 5 red lights. We're racing in Zandvoort, and what are the starts like? Good start then from Vasta Racer. Also a great start from Domi then. Dario legs his way towards the inside then as we make our way through turn 1 there, but the Ferrari gets a back end loose there. So Domi takes the lead from Vasta Racer, and look at Dario now trying to get a move up the inside as we make our way now towards turn 3. The heavy banking here will encourage people to try and make a move down the inside. The 2 McLarens in the background running side by side as Boss tries to make his way through the field. And we've got an instant here. Javi Vera and Zach coming together on the exit of turn 3, both front wings damaged. They will have to come back to the pits. Their last thing they wanted to do was put on a set of hard tyres to get themselves to the end of the race, but that's something they might have to do. Klasani then finds himself back into the top 10 after starting outside it in qualifying, but Domenico Lavecce takes the lead ahead of Vasta Racer, with Dario in 3rd time and then moving up to 4th.
Matthias losing a couple positions down to 7th after starting from 5th. But Gil and Klasani with some great starts, actually, moving themselves up into the top 10. So I imagine they're going to be happy about that. But yeah, Javi Vera, unfortunately, his day going from bad to worse. Had that difficult qualifying. Again, I would have expected him a little bit further up. And unfortunately, getting caught up in that incident. That's one of the Alfa Romeos peeling off. That's going to be Simo pulling off into the pits, pitting at the end of lap 1, which we've seen in previous races is not the end of your race. You can come back from that. So he's really got to buckle down and focus.
Yeah, Matthias then does have front wing damage on his right-hand side, so he's deciding that he wants to finish this stint, then go on to a set of tyres towards the end of the race that would cost him at least 5-6 seconds in the pit lane just to get that front wing changed, but he feels it'll be neutralised by the pace he's got out there right now.
He's doing a good job of keeping up with Schumacher. There's, of course, no DRS activated until lap 3, as with the real-life Formula 1. So now we're starting to see him lose a little bit of time here, actually, as we get into the middle sector of this lap. That gap rapidly increasing. It's looking like it might be over a second by the time we get to the end of this lap. And Aero behind is going to be very, very aware of that, very cognizant of all of that, and going to be looking to overtake as quickly as possible, which is going to slow Matthias down even further. Certainly, if I were his race engineer, I'd be thinking about pitting this lap. I can understand staying out 1 lap with the wing damage, but coming in this lap might be the best course of action.
Let's see if he's got an earpiece in, but he hasn't, because here comes Aero then going side by side down the start finish straight, and Aero says thank you very much, I'll take that position from you, down in towards turn 1. Aero now moves up into 7th place, and Matthias here has just got to try and keep that wounded car at least facing the right way. He's not out of this yet, of course, and this is where that steely nerve will be tested to its absolute absolute limit. How much has he got in the tank, and how much can he throw in terms of pace at this car? Let's have a look at the replay then. So this is Javi Vera going up the inside through turn 3. So what happens here? The Red Bulls come together, and it causes a little bit of a Constantina 3 wide around this circuit. Doesn't happen at the best of times, let alone on the first lap on the exit turn 3.
It's optimistic to go 3 wide. Let's be honest at Zandvoort. Yeah, especially in these wide boy cars. You know, these are not skinny classic F1 cars. These are quite wide as well. So yeah, 3 into 1 does not go. At least not in the Netherlands. Oh, getting right up to the back of Matthias is Gil there. He is really keen to get by that Ferrari. I thought for sure he was going to end up spinning him and almost doing a bump and run NASCAR style, but no, he does manage to avoid colliding into the back of CRG Matthias. And let's see, the Ferrari does pit, so that is 1 lap later than I would have recommended personally, but and he's definitely lost some time and positions as a result of that, and he's gonna lose even more, unfortunately, in the pits here actually, as they change the front wing. But this is the start of the rest of his race. He needs to again really focus and make sure that he fights back from this. He can still get some points.
Well, Vasta Racer has just taken the lead of the race ahead of Domenico Lavecce. So Valentin Bruffa is now your new leader in this race, with Dario Yemelo rounding off the top 3 at Sten Tyman, Nardi Schumacher, Aero Gil, Plasari and Boss rounding off the top 10. There you can see the tyres that each driver is on. So as predicted, Javi Vera and Zach down in 15th and 16th are on the hard tyres, and they'll have to try and get those tyres to the end of the race. Matthias pitting in then to put on a new set of medium tyres. Now, Justin, will he be able to make those work to the end of the race?
I think so. He's probably going to have to take care, be very, very, very careful, in fact. This is a replay of Vasta Racer retaking that lead. Again, he started on pole position from Domi with the use of some DRS rather cleanly and easily into turn 1, actually. That was a fairly drama-free overtake. I wonder how much Domi was actually willing to fight that, and it's very likely that he wasn't willing to put up too much a fight on that one. There we go. We can see where everybody's at in terms of the tires on the left-hand side. You can see Javi Vera and Zach getting caught up in that lap 1 incident. They've actually opted to go to the hard compound tires. Not surprising, as they had to complete 17 laps on that single set of tires or switch to a 2-stop strategy. Meanwhile, Guile on the mediums up to 7th position and ahead of 2 soft runners. Wow, you have to say it's looking pretty good for him, actually.
Yeah, he started P12 in this race, outside of the top 10, fresh set of mediums on the car. He now finds himself in 7th place. The only downside is that he's outside of DRS range from Aero ahead of him. 1.6 is the gap. Klasani behind, though, has that DRS primed and ready, as we're following Boss going all the way through in towards turn 10 on the exit. Then make sure you keep that back end in check, of course. With these soft tyres, they do wear out much quicker than those medium tyres. So got to try and get past with those soft tyres. If not, come in, get out of that dirty air and see if you can try a little bit of an undercut. And I think we see here soon that some of these cars will be trying to pit in. But for the 25% race, you're looking to try and just scrape half distance there. As you can see there, Klasani dummied going into the pits then. Boss came in and a 5-second penalty for speeding in the pit lane. Now, assuming he doesn't make another stop in this race, that'll be added to the end of his race. On go a fresh set of mediums, and away he goes. So he's got 13 laps on those medium tyres. Should be doable.
Yeah, I would say so. It seems that people are coming in for their predetermined stops. These are scheduled stops that we're seeing people coming on. At least the soft runners are coming in so far. And yeah, as you said, with the medium runners, certainly they're going to be going a little bit further into the race, probably around lap 9, maybe a little bit earlier. We certainly saw people going more than half race distance on the soft compound tires when we saw the races last month at China and Vietnam. So certainly that is an option if you can make it work. Obviously, different circuit, different circumstances, all of those kinds of good things. So take what I say with a grain of salt. Also, I'm not a driver, so these guys have lots and lots of trade secrets that we are not privy to.
Yeah, Dario Yemelo then coming into the pits and following Domenico Lavecce in, locking up both of them, trying to stop it before that pit lane speed limit line is there. And it's just trying to test those brakes as much as possible. So that leaves Vasta Racer out there as one of the only drivers yet to stop on those soft tyres to put on a set of mediums. You've got Gil, Petruk's name changer. I believe they all started on the medium tyres, so they'll be running a little bit longer into this race, possibly trying to get, 7, maybe 8 laps on the soft tyres towards the end of this race. So Vasta Racer here, comfortable in the lead for now, but he'll have to pit in eventually. There is Nardi then, who has rejoined behind Dario Yemolo. So Yemolo has done well then to get ahead. Now he's 8 tenths behind Domenico Lavecce, and if there's anyone out here that wants a good result, that really could do with a good result, it's Yemolo right now. He finds himself outside of that top 6, 7 points to his name so far. How he would love to put double figures next to that name after this race alone.
Yeah, the confidence would just go up, which just improves the results as well. So he's in a good position at the moment, especially because cars ahead are still yet to pit. So I imagine he's going to be feeling pretty good. We're having a look at timing though. One of the 2 race winners that we've had so far on the PS4 side of the 2021 Challengers. And he is running right behind Nardi on 1 lap fresher medium compound tires. But Nardi is going to be picking up the DRS off of Dario, so that's going to make things a little bit more difficult for timing. But it looks like he might have gotten the run on him, actually, on the run down turn 1, just a little bit further up the road. Domi has Dario behind, but can't quite pick up the DRS off of Vasta Racer.
Yeah, Vasta Racer has now come in and stopped. He's now on a set of medium tyres and has actually built a little bit of a gap. Wow, big snap of oversteer from Lavecce then on the exit of turn 3. Really managed to keep that under wraps well, but he's lost 9 tenths of a second to Vasta Racer ahead of him. So I do wonder if that was just a little bit of a mistake or whether Vasta Racer just had the in-lap of a lifetime.
Yeah, certainly. Yeah, that would be a heck of an in-lap if he did indeed. So this is very, very close, though, for all of these guys. Everybody's within DRS range until you get down to Schumacher, who is currently running in 10th position and net 7th position after Gil, Petrix, and Name Changer come into the pits, which I do expect is going to be coming up in the next few laps or so. I don't think it'll be this lap. I think next lap is probably the earliest that we're going to see medium runners coming in for a set of softs, potentially. With, of course, Javi Vera and Zach going on to those hards. Zach having a bit of a hard time with them picking up a penalty, as well as Domi sets the fastest lap of the race.
Here we go. We could be going 3 wide here. Here goes Corsani down the middle, splitting the 2 of them then down in towards turn 1. If he can pull that off, that's the move of the series so far. He has pulled it off. Corsani, what a move, what bravery, what guts, and my, how did it pay off?
Holy cow. You have to have some serious bravery to pull off something like that. I'm sure some people expected a different word to come out of my mouth there. You got to have a lot of bravery to try to pull off something like that, and you have to trust the people that you're racing against as well, and that was very scary. I don't know about everybody else at home, but I tightened up, putting my hands up to my face. Oh my gosh, because that was a scary moment. That door was closing pretty quickly. And I don't know how much contact was made with how many cars there, but I think at least a little bit probably happened there. But well done. As you said, that might be the move of the series so far. We'll see if anybody can beat that by the end.
That's just absolutely amazing from Plasardi, and better yet, that gets him 1 point so far. If he can finish in 10th place, then Gil gets into the pit lane now, so he'll be looking to go onto a set of soft tyres to get himself to the end of the race time, and then trying to get onto the back of Nardi, then going down the inside in towards turn 1. Can he slow that car down? You bet he can. With the DRS, now moves up into what is now 6th place with Gil in the pit lane. He's just emerging from that pit lane on a set of soft tyres. He'll try and really just drive as hard and as fast as he can on those soft tyres to get himself to the end.
He's got a number of laps to put in. I mean, it's difficult to overtake here at Zandvoort. There's not a ton of overtaking locations. It's quite narrow, as we've talked about it as well. So he's going to find it difficult. I don't think winning the race is going to be exactly easy or anything like that. He's going to have to dispatch a lot of cars pretty quickly if he wants to try and make that happen. And of course, those softs are really going to start to fall off towards the end of the race. So not only does he need to make something happen pretty quickly, but he needs to make a lot of things happen pretty quickly if he wants to turn that into like a race win or a podium or something like that. But again, we saw how strong he could be last time out. Certainly he impressed me. One of the drivers that really did impress. He's currently 3rd in the standings, and there's good reason for that. So I'm anxious to see what he could do with these soft compound tires. We're on board with the Racing Point now, though. So if he's going to try anything on Boss here, Boss 92, we'll get to see firsthand. But no, a little too far back into turn 1.
Yeah, Not quite the moment just yet. He's got to try and pick his moment here. Those soft tyres will only last so long, but he doesn't want to throw it down the inside and throw away what could be a good run on the soft tyres. He's got Klasani ahead of Boss as well, so the battle for 9th place intensifies. And Klasani, with that little bit of clear air, hasn't been able to close in on Aero ahead of him. He's lost a 10th in about 2 laps, possibly, maybe even a lap and a half. So not quite going to plan for Klasani, but I'll tell you what, he's got the award for move of the race right now as Boss lights up the rear tyres on the exit curve there. Very lucky to keep that one intact, and Gil will have sensed that, and now he'll try and go for a move down the start-finish straight. This is the real overtaking opportunity going down in towards turn 1 as we make our way towards turn 12. It's just too tight of a corner. You've got 13 then, which comes up immediately afterwards, so it really discourages you from sticking a nose up the inside at 12.
It's very interesting, the positions gained on the left-hand side. Again, Petrix and Name Changer are still out on their first stint, so that's kind of skewing everything. But at the moment, it looks like just everybody's losing positions except for Klasani. But again, Petrix Name Changer is still yet to come in side by side through turn 1, actually. Boss and Gil, and it looks like Gil is going to come out ahead on that one, making good use of those soft compound tires. He's got another car just ahead of him. He's got another Alfa Romeo just ahead of him, so he's going to be looking to make that overtake as quickly as possible. When is the next opportunity for that going to come, though? Maybe turn 12? Honestly, turn 1 more likely.
Yeah, turn 1 is going to be the big overtaking opportunity. It's one of the heaviest braking zones on the track that doesn't sort of tighten up on exit. Boss then picking up the first 3-second time penalty of this race. Of course, we've got Zach down in P15. He's got a 5-second stop and go penalty, which he'll have to serve at the next pit stop. Assuming he stops again. He doesn't have to stop again. If he doesn't, it's 5 seconds that will be added on to the end of his race time. So at the moment, he's holding on to P15 for now. However, I don't think he'll be too encouraged by that one. But Petrux still leads, though, from Name Changer. Top table right now as they're both on the hard tyres. Now let's have a look at Matthias then. He's now flying his way into the penultimate corner at 13, now through 14. The heavy banking there allows you to take all that speed through in the slipstream. DRS wide open then for Matthias. Schumacher, you can see, going on the defence. It makes Matthias go the long way round in towards turn 1 then, and you can see there with the better grip, Matthias just about gets the power down, moves ahead of the McLaren. Nice move from Matthias then, and that's worth 12th place.
Textbook, absolutely beautiful. That's the kind of thing that you would teach somebody who is trying to learn how to race on F1 2020 for the first time. That is just fantastic stuff. Great job from Matthias. I did mention before, his race is not over. Still a handful of laps to go, actually. And he is less than 4 seconds away from a points-paying position. And, in fact, 11th with the penalties, of course. So he's already in 11th. Javi Vera, by the way, has been into the pits a second time, fitted a set of soft compound tires, and has set the fastest lap of the race. But he is 31 seconds adrift of Simo in 14th.
Yep, as we see then, we've got a couple of changes of position then as Vasta Racer moves up to 2nd place now. He's moved ahead of Petrux now as we make our way towards that start-finish line. Name Changer into the pits then. Soft tyres will surely go on as we see there Domi gets himself up a position. I wonder if Petrux has a little bit of an issue there as he's very slow going around the circuit, but he's going to fall down the order if he's not careful. He loses yet another position.
Yeah, I would say something's happened with it. Yeah, Petrix has left the session. You can see in this replay here as we're on board with Gil as he just flies up to the back of that Alfa Romeo. Looks to take the outside line once again. Yet again, we're seeing somebody taking to the outside of that banked turn 1 corner and using it to good effect and making that overtake on the run down towards turn 2. Another fantastic and clean overtake as well. I love seeing the respect that we're seeing from these drivers. And we are getting confirmation indeed that Petrix just lost connection, unfortunately. So that explains why he's still out there. I was gonna say I do not agree with doing 13 laps on a set of mediums. I don't think that's the right strategy call at all. But now we understand why he is still out there. Javi Vera has unfortunately brought his race to an end, a second out of 3 races, ending in disappointment for him. Again, we know how fast he is, and certainly I wish him the best of luck in the next race.
Yeah, he's come into the pit lane and parked the car, so hopefully we will see him in the next race as Zach picks up another time penalty in this race. We're on board then with Klasani going round the outside of Gil then, as Gil now has front wing damage. Then Klasani's trying to make the space there, and Gil is trying to shut the door round the outside of turn 2, inside of turn 3 for the Alfa Romeo. Can he try and grab the apex there? Yes, he can. Gil gets the exit 2. Klasani gets the exit 2. Gil loses a position, as they're still going to go side by side then through the S section, now heading towards turn 7, and the Racing Point of Gil thinks better of it with that front wing damage, almost side by side through turn 7, but not quite, as Klasani holds on to 8th place.
Well, that would have been something if they were side by side through there. That is not typically a corner that you see cars going side by side. It's certainly not at the kind of speeds that these F1 cars are achieving. So, yeah, that really would have been something. But yeah, with that end plate damage on the Racing Point, Gil seems to be struggling a little bit. You can see a little bit of a lockup there. Another lockup, actually. I think that was Matthias just closing up to this group. Again, he's going to be looking to possibly have a little bit of damage limitation and pick up some championship points here after what I would assume he would classify as a disappointing race as well. So let's see if Gil can do anything with the DRS on the rundown towards turn 1. Klasani is picking up the DRS off of that Petrix car, though, who is still out there, who's ghosted. Again, don't have to really think about him too much. He's going to get overtaken by all of these guys. But yeah, again, Gil just doesn't seem to have the grip to keep up with that Alfa Romeo ahead.
No, and you really need a downforce here. That's only going to exacerbate the tyre wear for Gil as well, with less front downforce. So it's going to make his life even more difficult to try and finish in a good finishing position. Meanwhile, then, we're following Aero all the way through as they chase down Nardi and Timon ahead. Meanwhile, the top 3, though, look pretty unopposed at the moment. Vasta Racer still leading from Domi and Dario. That is your top 3 so far in this race. Timon in 4th. You can see Nardi in 5th, then Aero in 6th, Klasani in 7th place, Gil in 8th, Boss 9th, and Name Changer rounding out the top 10 so far with 3 laps to go. 2 and a bit if you're picky. Vasta Racer still leads the way.
Yeah, I'm not sure how much Domi is interested in fighting that, to be totally honest, because I mean, it would look good if he was able to make that overtake on Vasta Racer, but what looks even better is leading the championship, which he has a very good opportunity to do here. He is let's see, he'd be picking up 6 points on Timon, so no, actually he could pick up the lead of the championship here. And I would say that looks better than a single win or anything like that. So I wonder how interested in or how desperate Domi is to get this win. He may just be looking to apply some pressure and then see if he can get an opportunistic win, something like that. Because Dario, who is behind him, is coming into this race 10th in the standings, and Vasta Racer ahead isn't even in the top 10. So neither of these guys are a real threat to him when it comes to the actual championship. And that second place is enough to take the lead over Timon.
Yes, it is. And of course, this could be a chance for Domi to try and take a win here, but Vasta Racer will not be willing to hold, or at least to let that position go without a fight. We now head onto the start-finish line to start the final lap here of the Dutch Grand Prix here in F1 Esports Series Challengers on PlayStation 4. Vasta Racer still holding on to that lead. Domi in second place, but there you can see Dario just lurking in the distance, just waiting to pounce on any sort of opportunity either of the drivers ahead present. Turn 3 is done then as we now make our way through the S section, through 4, through 5, through 6, and through turn 7 we will go eventually. And you can see there Vasta Racer just doing enough so far, but Domi is really trying to reel him in this last lap. It's almost like he's reminded that it's qualifying. He's on a heck of a quali lap right now, is Domi, as we now make our way through turn 9 onwards then towards turn 10. It's just about trying to put the pressure on and trying to turn that temperature up in the cockpit then for Vasta Racer, but he's not responding in the way that Domi really wants him to. Down in towards turns 11 and 12 we go for the final time here in PlayStation 4 as they now accelerate their way onwards towards turns 13 and 14, flying our way through then the last corner, the last bit of banking, and onwards then towards the start-finish straight. It is going to be a race win for Vasta Racer. He crosses the line. Valentin Brufner takes a win here in Esports Challengers on the PlayStation 4. Domenico Lavecce in second, and Dario Yamalo picks up his first podium of the season. Then it's Timon, Nardi, Aero, Klasani, Gil, Name Changer, and Matthias rounding out the top 10. And we will, of course, confirm who as that fastest lap at the end to see if anybody scores a little bit of a bonus point. But a great race we had on our hands. Moves from Klasani that we never thought were possible. Delivered a great race, didn't it, Justin?
Impressive stuff. Impressive stuff. Gil, in the end, by the way, on that alternate strategy with the softs, couldn't get higher than 8th, which is really surprising to see. But a great win for Vasta Racer. A great third podium for VSR Domi. Let's just throw that out there. He is 3 for 3. We're also 3 for 3 for different winners when it comes to the PS4 side of the F1 Esports Challengers. So really a lot of headlines from this race.
Yes, absolutely. Driver of the day, as awarded by the in-game fans, is Name Changer as we make our way on towards those podium celebrations. Well, going into this race, Valentin Brufner had 7 points, did Bruffer. But he now scores a full 25 points, and I think Justin will be happy with the attire that his character has chosen this time around. But it is a race win then for Vasta Racer, his first of the series.
Absolutely incredible. Really, really impressive drive, I have to say, on that one. That was just as impressive as the winners that we saw from the first 2 races. So, yeah, really, really highly entertaining race that we had, and just really, really enjoying this grid of drivers that we have. Some more fantastic racing. In the end, though, I do really feel for the 2 Red Bull drivers, the only 2 that weren't able to finish.
Yeah, absolutely. But there are your official, unofficial results as Vasta Racer takes his first win of the series with Domi in 2nd, Dario in 3rd time, and 4th with Nardi in 5th, Aero in 6th place with Klasani in 7th, Gil in 8th, Name Changer in 9th, and Matthias rounds out the top 10. Then it is Boss in 11th place, Schumacher 12th with Simo 13th, and Zach in 14th place with, of course, both the Red Bull drivers retiring from the race. Javi Vera would have got the fastest lap of the race, 109.8. They're the only driver into those 109s, but because no one in the top 10 got that fastest lap, no fastest lap bonus point is awarded. Tough race though for Javi Vera, though. It was all against him as soon as that incident at turn 3 happened.
Yeah, it's really, really, really unfortunate for Javi Vera. I'm really feeling for him. I mean, he finished 2nd in Vietnam. Unbelievable pace. Clearly a real competitor here. And that's now 2 really frustrating races in a row. Now, we said a couple of bad races, aren't going to decide somebody's season. But it's got to be frustrating when your 2 bad races are in the first 3 races. You know, he's had more bad races than he has good. But he's shown that he has the pace. And I really do feel for him. And I hope he doesn't get too frustrated and just can bounce back immediately.
The thing is, though, if he gets his 2 bad races, as we said in the preview, done and out of the way, then surely, fate would have it, that the next 7 will be the best he's ever had. So let's see how that goes. I mean, let's just talk about the driver of the day as awarded by the in-game fans. It was Name Changer who got that award. But would you agree with that, Justin?
That's a tough one. Let me see. Who would I give my... I don't know. Vasta Racer is definitely, he's a real contender, I would say. But I don't know. I might give it to Klasani, just for going from 13th to 7th, because yeah, that was a heck of a drive. He was the highest position out of all the drivers that finished outside the top 10. Gil and Name Changer also scoring good points, though, of course, considering they also started outside the top 10. But yeah, I might give it to Klasani on that one, even though Vasta Racer just did an absolutely incredible job of controlling that race and managing everything, especially with all that pressure behind from Domi.
Yeah, you make a good, convincing point there for that Alfa Romeo driver. I mean, what a move. You're going to be watching that move again and again and again. Klasani, what a move. I think the best one we've seen through the entire series so far.
Yeah, really, really impressive stuff. I would be really, really surprised if another opportunity even presents itself for somebody to make a move that's as amazing as that one, because that really was truly something special. That sort of thing doesn't come around every day, and he grabbed the opportunity with both hands, made the double overtake work at a track that's really, maybe a double overtake at Monaco. That's one of the few things that would be better. A double overtake at Singapore, street circuits are the only ones that would maybe present a little bit more of a challenge.
Absolutely. And let's talk about, of course, 2 out of the 3 podium finishes was their first podium of the season. But for Valentin Bruffer, it was his first win as well. Dario Yamalo moves now with 15 points up the table, much further up the table. Both started this night on 7 points. So I think they'll be absolutely thrilled with that.
Yeah, apparently 7 was a lucky number for them actually coming into this one. Also, Vaster Racer, again, he didn't have the best of results last time for the first event in Vietnam and China, but he did score points in both of them, so that means he's one of those drivers that's 3 for 3 when it comes to finishing in the top 10 so far.
And an unfortunate retirement for Petrox then, but, you know, on debut, he did show some pace about him.
Yeah. Again, you know, it's all about looking at the positives, focusing on what, you know, worked in the race. And Petrox had the pace. You know, you could see that just in qualifying. Before we even got to the race, we could see that Petrox clearly belongs there. I guess I'm not too surprised to see that. There is an incredibly large pool of highly talented drivers for the Codemasters teams to pull from. So I can't say I'm too surprised to find out that somebody just coming in is, you know, immediately on the pace, but it is still impressive to see.
Yes, absolutely. And obviously, if you're looking forward to more races, well, I've got some good news. We've got one coming up. That's right. In just a couple of minutes' time. We're going to Austria. And if you thought 67 seconds was a good lap time to go by in qualifying, well, then let's take you to Austria, to Spielberg, one of the shortest circuits on the calendar. Not in terms of length, Justin, but definitely in terms of lap time.
Yeah, very, very short, very, very fast. I am a fan of Austria, particularly Sector 2. I think, you know, once you get out of those heavy braking zones, the flowing nature of it with the double left-hander as well, too, it's right up my alley. Really, really enjoyable circuit. It's got a nice amount of overtaking possibilities as well, too, into turn 1. Turn 2/3, depending on what track map you're looking at. You know, there's several places that you can go side by side and make those overtakes. And yeah, it's just a picturesque circuit as well too. I would like to see some precipitation involved. That would be very nice to see. Certainly possible at Austria.
I'm expecting some sort of rain dance from you, Justin. Maybe off camera, but of course,
off camera.
If you're off camera. Damn. But of course, we will be heading to Spielberg momentarily. Now, the great thing about this is we have one race in the night that's got that short qualifying. So, in other words, multiple attempts to get that fastest lap. But when we head to the second race, you only get that one shot, that one chance to really put yourself at the height of the table, at that pointy end of the grid. Just how do you cope with that pressure going into it?
I don't, is the answer to that one. But how do they do it? I will never know the answer to that question. I assume, you know, like anything else, it's practice. You got to put yourself in high pressure situations if you want to be able to manage pressure well. And this is about as high pressure as it gets when it comes to sim racing. So if they're not used to pressure, this is going to be, you know, one step on their journey to becoming good at dealing with pressure. So it's going to be difficult out there. And when you have such a short lap and you have that one-shot qualifying, and you're coming hot off the heels of racing at another circuit, by the way, that's the thing too. It's not like these guys are going from hours of practice in Spielberg to a one-shot qualifying in Spielberg. No. They're coming from just running a race at the Netherlands to doing one-shot qualifying in Austria. That's a whole different animal.
It absolutely is. I don't suppose it's as jarring as what the drivers had to go through last week, which was Vietnam and then China, two really different circuits when you put the magnifying glass under both of them. However, yes, you're right. Austria is just a high-speed circuit. Lots of power is needed here, and you've got to try and balance that out with the aero. As you said, that middle sector is one that tests the aero and tests the amount of tyre wear that you'll eventually get with a fast setup. So do you run less wings and try and take advantage of the top speed, or do you sacrifice just that little bit of aero to make sure that second sector isn't too far off the pace?
Ultimately, I think it really comes down to where you think you're going to be, and that's a tough thing to do, because of course these drivers don't know where they're going to qualify. All they can do is kind of compare times, and sometimes people lie about their times or they won't share their times at all. So but you know, if you know that you're good in qualifying, then you could run a higher downforce setup, you know, try and build a gap in the early stages of the race, use a bit of ERS and battery life, try to pull that gap so you don't have anybody on your butt the whole time with the DRS, and you don't need that top speed. But you know, if you think you're going to struggle in qualifying, you're going to need some top speed in order to make overtakes, unless you go for some kind of alternate strategy. You know, if it ends up being wet in qualifying, something like that, then you might be able to make it work with a high downforce setup from the back on an alternate strategy. There's just so many variables in there, but you know, that's what allows these drivers to shine is, all of those variables. If you can still have a good result in all of that chaos, then that's seriously impressive.
I mean, we've built this up, Justin, as this is going to be one of the quickest qualifying laps of the series. We're looking at possibly 61 seconds, a really high 61 seconds. It's happened before. But I have to say, now that you're talking about rain, I'm not so confident anymore about hyping it up so much. It's still going to be a quick lap time, even in the wet.
Yeah, because it's not many corners, there is a lot of full throttle, of course, on the main straight, coming out of turn 1 as well, and then coming down the hill after turn 2/3. Again, quite a bit of on throttle time when it comes to this circuit. So, it's as you said, it's not all about downforce, but there are parts of the circuit where you want it, which is of course common. There are a lot of circuits where you want high speed and you want downforce as well. This is fairly common sort of feature of the circuits, but here in particular, you really sort of feel those two needs fighting each other, and it becomes difficult when you want to do your setup. It's almost good to have two different setups: one setup for if you don't do great in qualifying, and another setup for if you do.
Well, absolutely. Would you believe me, Justin, if I told you that the Austrian track here in Spielberg is actually a longer circuit in terms of kilometers than the racetrack we were just on? Yeah, I couldn't quite believe that either. But yes, 4.318 kilometers will take us around the Austrian Grand Prix, then 10 turns around here. It's a very high octane circuit, of course, as we start going through. But let's take you through, hopefully, this Austrian Grand Prix. And I have to say, 3 DRS zones as well, Justin. It really does prioritise that top speed, and it encourages drivers maybe to run a higher rear wing, especially in traffic. But there you can see 4.318 kilometres. As you can see, the 3 DRS zones will make sure you reach that top speed with ease, with plenty of undulation. Let's take you on a lap of the Austrian Grand Prix.
Hi, it's Daniel Kwiat. I'm a Scuderia Alfa Tauri driver, and I would like to talk about the Red Bull Ring track in Austria. It's a very short track with only 10 corners. They are all very high speed, so it makes it a very challenging track. So you need to be very precise in every of this corner in order to make a competitive lap time. So we're here in Austria, try to get a good speed for the long straight. Quite big braking for a medium speed corner. Turn 1, right-handed corner. Very long straight now, coming with a little uphill, a little bit bumpy here for braking. Try to brake quite late. There is a quite big camber change in the middle of that corner, so the exit can be quite tricky with the traction. Another long straight, as you can see, using DRS, downhill braking. Also very late. Try to use everything on the exit, and short straight and very high speed section now. Downhill, corner, very fast, right-handed, another one, very long corner as well, more than 250 kph, so very high g-force, and now very fast second last corner. Can be quite tricky with the rear and big compression in the apex of last corner. And that's it, it was a lap in Austria.
And as quick as that lap time started, it's now over. Just as quick as that. But we're now heading soon to the Austrian Grand Prix, and of course, home of the Red Bull Ring. Yes, we're expecting then the Red Bull drivers to do well, even though they have no association with Red Bull whatsoever. It's just the car they're driving. What I have to say, though, is, Justin, we are not far away from that one-shot qualifying. The pressure mounts up, and at a track like this, where there's so few corners, so few braking points, even a slight lock-up at the wrong place can cost you a mountain of positions.
Yeah, it's a real challenge as well, as we learned last month for commentary. But I have to say, it's been a real highlight for me to have you commentating these one-shot qualifyings, because it's so difficult to try and talk about 16 drivers qualifying at the same time and trying to provide some sort of useful insight. But you've done a fantastic job for the 3 that we've had so far, and I am genuinely looking forward to this.
Yeah, and of course we're going to have the standing shake-up, of course, of one-shot qualifying, where we pick a driver, we follow them through, and if they get that pole position, then it's a lucky choice out of 1 of 16. But we'll try and keep you up to date, of course. You'll see how difficult it is to pick the right driver. But just on this alone, now that you've seen 3 races so far, Justin, who do you think can mount the pressure really and take that pressure on and get pole position here in Austria?
Ah, man, that's a tough one. We've seen that people can surprise us so far in qualifying. Klasani took pole, for example, in China. I don't think anybody would have expected that one for that one-shot qualifying. Again, that was under very different circumstances, though, with it being quite wet for that one-shot qualifying. But yeah, it's even harder to predict where and we're getting going. Yeah, good luck on this one, Kieran.
Well, here we go then. It's one of the shortest laps on the calendar, and it is bone dry out there, so that is a good sign. So predictions then, well, it's going to be at least 62 seconds. I have seen 61 seconds before, but the track has to be in the absolute perfect condition, and it has to be the absolute perfect lap time then. So we're ready to go then. Standing shake up on the left hand side, as we see, that's Dario we're seeing now making his way up towards turn one, then flying uphill in towards the braking zone, using that left hand side curb as much as you can. Try not to cut the inside curb into turn one, and try not to take too much curb on the left hand side on the exit, otherwise you will invalidate your lap time. Slight kink of 2 up into the braking zone of turn 3. Uphill braking can help you slow the car down. Use that to your advantage. Very tricky to get the power down out of turn 3. The rear tires will want to leave you, but you'll have to keep them in check. Down the hill then towards turn 4. Downhill on braking. Brake slightly earlier. Make sure you don't lock up the tires whatsoever. We'll jump on board with Vasta Racer now as he negotiates the second sector through turn 5, now through the double left-hander. First through turn 6 then. Try and get the apex of this corner. It's really important, the exit of that corner. Through turn 7, kiss of the curb on the inside, kiss of the curb on turn 8. Use that to try and shorten the length of the run towards turn 9. Over the shoulder shot, just a brief one then as we flick our way through turn 9, down the hill towards turn 10. This is when a lap time can be thrown away. Don't run too wide on the exit. Here comes Vasta Racer towards the line. Is he going to grab pole position? You bet he is. 1:02.494 is the pole position lap time for Vasta Racer. He's got a win, and now he's got a pole position under his belt. Great lap time from Vasta Racer.
Did I see Petrix at the front there? Okay, no, it looks like he ended up dropping down towards the end there. Yeah, now I'm actually not even seeing him in the top 14. But very, very interesting. A great time from Vasta Racer.
Yeah, absolutely. And that 1:02.494 is enough for Valentin Buffer to grab pole position here for the Austrian Grand Prix. And as you can see, there are lots of standings up there. The top 12 obviously separated by less than 0.62 seconds, so it might be close there. Name changer and Zach, you can assume, made a mistake on their lap time. Petrux and Simo both having their lap times invalidated. They will be starting from the back of the grid. Their only saving solace really is that they go on to a set of fresh tyres.
I swear Petrix was in the top 3 over the course of that lap. I'm not sure at what stage that he invalidated his lap time, but is that rather dark, that sky?
It's rather dull, isn't it, that sky?
Yeah.
It doesn't look too encouraging. However, it is dry for now, so we'll just hold out on that so far, and I'm sure the drivers will be hoping that holds out as well. Of course, they would have seen some sort of weather forecast going into this race, but obviously it gives them a basic detail until we get to here, as you can't quite define what the weather's going to do at any point, let alone try and replicate that in Austria. However, drivers are getting ready then for this second race of the night as we head to Spielberg for the Austrian Grand Prix. And one person who'll be looking to carry on his good form here tonight will be Valentin Bruffer, already on pole position and already wanted to look to add to that second win of this series. We've had 3 races so far, 3 different winners. Will the streak come to an end tonight here? As we now count up to the start of this race, it is 5 red lights. And we're racing in Spielberg. What are the start seconds? A great start from Time, and then who will grab the inside line? Horrible start for Vasta Racer. He drops now down into second place. Filing our way now in towards turn 1. That was Domi who was trying to go right up the inside, then in towards turn 1 as we now make our way in towards the slight kink of 2. Always then towards turn 3. And you'll see a couple of drivers trying to make moves here. Here's Javi Veras trying to make a move up the inside. That's the McLaren of Schumacher trying to get the better drive out of turn 3. And it looks like he's got the position ahead of Javi Vera. Right riding on board then with Domi as we now descend our way down towards turn 4. Not quite the qualifying that Domi wanted, but you can see there Nardi's looking, just having a peek up the inside there. Dario is also right behind, looking to try and extend his good form so far. We've got yellow flags somewhere out in sector 2, and that's Gil who's fallen off the back there. He's now 3.1 and growing off the back of Zach then, so you can only assume he's been caught up in something there. But Timon, what a start! He's now leading here in Austria.
Yeah, great starts for Timon and for Schumacher. Javi Vera would probably classify that as a great start, despite losing a position, because of course he has all of his front wings still. So I imagine he's just going to be thrilled about that after having, again, 2 poor races in a row. We've already got a penalty for name changer outside the top 10, though. That was very, very quick. Petrix, unfortunately, has disconnected as well, so it seems some connection issues for the Red Bull is going to bring his day to a little bit of an early end. But up at the front here, it's looking very, very close, but still very, very respectful. Not seeing any pieces of carbon fiber being strewn across the circuit or anything like that. Let's see if Javi Vera can take back that 3rd place position that once belonged to him.
Yeah, we'll have to wait and see, though. Of course, it's a high-octane race, lots of tension all the way throughout as the limited overtaking opportunities fly by you about 18 times in this race. But what a start from Timon Shooter, who now leads the way here in Austria. It's Vastaracer in 2nd place. As you said, Schumacher up into 3rd. Great start from him. Javi Vera in 4th. Aero then in 5th. Klasani in 6th. Domi 7th. Nardi in 8th. Dario in 9th. Matthias rounding up the top 10. It is Boss name changers, Zach, Seema and Gil rounding up that top 15. And Petrox, unfortunately, right now, I haven't seen him join back in unless I'm corrected.
No, I haven't seen him come back in either, so yeah, it's unfortunate when that happens, no doubt about it, as we start lap 3. So, of course, DRS is going to be activated. At the moment, still dry. It still looks a little bit ominous on the skies above, but I feel like I can see a little bit of blue peeking through. Javi Vera not doing anything just yet. In fact, worrying more about Aero behind, I think, rather than the McLaren ahead of Schumacher. So Javi Vera maybe just struggling a little bit there. The rear wing is open as they descend down the hill from the highest point on that circuit and make their way through the right-hander into that middle sector now, where he'll pick up a little bit of that dirtier effect now.
Yeah, and it's especially apparent as you head through turns 6 and 7, where you've got to try and hold on as much as you can, and sometimes you have to sacrifice a good 10 kph to just try and make the corner in this dirty air. And of course, as we now go over the crest towards turns 9 and 10, it is still Timon leading the way from Vastaracer and Schumacher, and this is where drivers now try and settle in. Well, you'd say settle in, but 25% races really do encourage moves up the order and to try and get yourself as far up the order as you possibly can. Timon then setting the fastest lap of the race just above that 65-second mark. Then it is Vastaracer 2nd, Schumacher in 3rd, as we've got DRS open for the majority of the field. In fact, the only one who doesn't have it inside of the top 12 is our race leader in Timon, because of course there's no car in front of him.
Yeah, really impressive stuff, the way that everybody is actually kind of following suit with one another. I have to say the gaps are, there we go. Boss, it seems, actually is in danger of slipping outside of the DRS on Matthias, potentially running the medium compound tires at the moment. Hopefully we'll get the graphic up shortly showing what everybody is running currently. But I'd say very, very likely that those outside the top 10 are going to be going for an alternate strategy. We've seen how useful it can be in the past, so no surprise that would be a potential option for these guys. Javi Vera still settling in that 4th place position, and again, it really seems like he's dropping off the back of Schumacher and coming under threat from Aero. Moving back to Domi, who's a little bit further down this row of cars. Doesn't really seem like he's going on the attack on Klasani. Nardi even further back than he is off of Klasani, so yeah, not a lot of movement going on at the moment. It is very much a train currently. So, and there we go. We do have confirmation that everybody, in fact, that started outside the top 10 is on the medium compound tires. That explains that 2-second gap between Matthias and Boss 92.
That would explain a lot, wouldn't it? As we see now the top 10 trying to streak away from everyone who started this race on the medium tyres. But there you can see the position changes since the start of this race, not very apparent when you go into that top 11 there. Only 1 or 2 places here or there.
Surprising.
It is surprising, isn't it? The amount of good starts we had up there. We saw Timon move up into the race. We got Schumacher up into third. And we got Klasani then, who's moved up into sixth there. Domi didn't quite get the start he wanted. He's fallen now down to seventh place. And 3 races, 3 podiums for Domi. He's going to need to pull it out if he wants to carry on that streak into this 4th race. Boss then picking up a 3-second time penalty. He joins Name Changer in a penalty next to his name. That'll be added to the end of his race. But as we start here, lap number 6 in this race, almost at 3rd race distance already. Where did that time go? Diamond leads the way, Vasta race 2nd, Schumacher rounding out the top 3.
Certainly, if I'm any of these guys, I'm going to be thinking about coming in at a different time. Now, of course, you're going to be running the exact same strategy of soft to medium as all of the cars around you in the top 10. So the real difference in strategy comes when you make that pit. You can come in early, but going from soft to mediums, that's not going to be much of a change there. Certainly, if I were an engineer for any of these drivers, what I would be telling them is keep up and save your tires and stay out 1 lap later and try to do the overcut on as many cars as you possibly can. Certainly, there's a few drivers in that top 10 that I think are capable of that. So I'd say, manage your tires, manage your battery, and just make sure that we're in the best possible position for the 2nd stage of this race once the pit window opens, which could be in the next couple of laps or so. We could see Arrow coming in a little bit early. Again, I don't think the undercut is going to be super helpful around here, but I am very interested to see if he can prove me wrong.
Yeah, cut to when the undercut actually does work.
Right, yeah, smash cut.
But Aero and Dario both into the pits then on those 6-lap-old soft tyres. Both of them then go onto the medium tyres. That should get them to the end of this race. As we ride on board with Javi Vera, then really got a front row seat for that top 3. Just battling away, just trying to make life difficult for each other. Domi's not too far away from Klasani either. But whilst the car ahead has DRS on the other car ahead of that, sort of affects the way you can try and overtake here. If everybody has that DRS open, if you've got the driver ahead of you who's got the DRS open, if you've got the driver behind you with the DRS open, it just makes life difficult when you're trying to get past the car ahead, because not only do you have to be looking ahead, just making sure you get your exits right, but you have to be looking in your mirrors, because one mistake and you could cost yourself a mountain of time. There is Klasani then, of course, this awkward pit entry. You've got to commit early here on the left-hand side to signify to other drivers that you are planning to pit in. Schumacher, Habivere and Klasani all into the pits then for a set of fresh medium tyres. That's going to put Domi, for now, up into 3rd place. Nardi up into 4th. Matthias then moves up into 5th place. And this is when things can start to shuffle about a bit. Domi does not have DRS on Vasta Racer ahead of him. Nardi, this is his chance to try and get past the Haas ahead.
Yeah, exactly right. This is the best opportunity in this pit stop phase. So these guys are going to be pushing really, really hard on both their in laps and their out laps. At the moment, Domi's not going to be picking up any sort of DRS because this pair of Timon and Vasta Racer have a 1.8 second gap now to that Haas in 3rd position. So at the moment, these guys can maybe just relax a little bit. That for just a lap or two, maybe they don't have to be looking into their mirrors and worried about the car behind. You can see 5 cars yet to come into the pit so far. Will we see all 5 of them come into the pits, or will we see one person stay out a little bit later? It would be interesting to see if we did. At the moment, it looks like Matthias might be that person. CRG Matthias, yes, stays out for an 8th lap on that set, or excuse me, a 9th lap on that set of soft tires.
Yeah, and that's mainly because he probably had a clue that Vasta Racer was going to pit in, and of course they share a garage, so he really doesn't want to be double stacked behind a rival, so he's going to have to continue on for an extra lap as he now makes his way up towards turn 3. So at the moment here, he's got the track to himself. This is his time to set the in-lap of a lifetime.
And I'm just trying to see where people are coming out relative to where they were previously. You can see Timon leads the way, but he's got Schumacher right on him. Arrow still within DRS range. Javi Vera within DRS range. Vasta Racer, Domi, Dario, Klasani. Everybody is still within DRS range. I'm not sure who the net winners and losers were and all of that, but Schumacher and Timon actually are going side by side just a little bit further up the road from this, but Timon does maintain that position ahead of Schumacher, but he was definitely giving it a go, and this is some really, really impressive stuff from these guys.
you get some DRS, and you get some DRS, and that's all it felt like, Justin. That's really all it felt like. Matthias then comes into the pits. Boss also follows him in. Zach is the same. He follows them in as well. So Timon will now retake the lead of this race. Schumacher in second place, Aero in third. But where will Matthias rejoin in this battle? Vasta Racer looks up for this one as he tries to make a move on the Red Bull. He's right on the tail of him as he makes his way up towards turn one. There is Matthias just leaving that pit lane exit. Cold tyres, remember, be careful on that exit and be careful of that white line on the exit as well. He's going to rejoin just ahead of Nardi, but of course you're compromised on the exit of the pit lane. Nardi will just sail straight by and take that position away. Matthias not done with that, is he? Can't quite find the move ahead and will have to settle for 10th place for now. Meanwhile, Javi Vera and Aero battling away for third place.
Yep, Javi Vera did get back into third place, but actually he made the overtake on Aero, so he is into a podium position, and nobody ahead still left to pit or anything like that. There is the Racing Point, who got relegated down into fourth position. He's got Vasta Racer right behind, again, the winner last time out for the Dutch Grand Prix, and the pole sitter as well, currently sitting in fifth position, and he's going to be certainly very, very keen to try and get past that Racing Point as quickly as he can. We are past the halfway point of this race, so yeah, not too much racing still to go for today.
Yeah, 8 laps to go to be precise as Timon leads the way from Schumacher. Javi Vera now moves up into those podium positions. Aero in fourth, Vasta Racer falling to fifth after the round of pit stops. Domi in sixth, Dario in seventh, Klasani in eighth, Nardi ninth, and Matthias rounding out that top 10 as we see here. Vasta Racer could try and move on Aero going up towards turn 3. You see Aero goes defensive to the inside, trying to prioritise a good exit here. So too will Vasta Racer as we now head down the hill towards turn 4. As we've got to try and pick out the right braking zone for Vasta Racer here if he's got a chance of getting by just a little bit too far back. Aero does well to defend. He holds on to fourth place, but what Vasta Racer has to be careful of is Domi is right behind him as well. Any mistake that Vasta Racer makes, and Domi, you can bet your bottom dollar he's going to try and take advantage. Nardi and Matthias battling away. Nardi having to go to the inside to defend it. It compromised his exit of 7 and made sure that he had to really compromise his own line. Matthias just couldn't quite find that way past. Through turn 6, the idea was there. The switchback was on, but he just couldn't quite execute it to the way he wanted it to. Nardi holds on and Matthias misses his apex there through the final corner. That's going to cost him quite a bit of time there.
He very, very nearly caused Nardi to miss out on the DRS, though. It got up to about 9.5 tenths a second, I believe, between 8th and 9th. So Nardi very, very nearly missed the DRS, which would have been an open invitation for Matthias to take that position. Probably even on the start-finish straight, maybe down into this turn 3 braking zone. But unfortunately for him, Nardi maintains that DRS, and he's, in fact, already closed up to Klasani. So all of that really was for nothing, actually. They're still in the same position that they were. Same gap, similar gap anyway. So, yeah, no major position changes there. Matthias, though, clearly is eager to get by, fancies his chances, thinks he's faster. Otherwise, he wouldn't be attempting in the middle of the circuit like that, or the middle of the lap.
7 to go, 6 and a bit if you're picky, and Timon still leads the way, and he's just trying to keep that pace on. He knows he doesn't have to push too hard to keep this lead. All he has to do is make sure he gets good exits out of corners that have a DRS straight. So that's half the circuit, really, when you think about it. Vasta Racer then in 5th place, still trying to attack the Racing Point of Aero ahead of him. But Domi, look at how close he is, right behind that Ferrari going in towards turn 1. Is Vasta Racer going to have a chance to get past Aero here, right in that slipstream through turn 2 and then to the braking zone of turn 3? No, none of them really wanted to make a move there. Both of them really did think about it, but I think they both backed out of it because they expected the other to get the move down the inside done. And I think that's compromised Vasta Race's exit as all the two of them almost coming together there. Domi having to go onto the grass. He's got the inside line in towards turn 4 then as Vasta Racer holds the outside line through 4. Who's going to get the better run? Through turn 5, you can see Vasta Racer has the inside line in towards turn 6. He's going to hold the inside line as much as he can, and he holds on to that position. My, that was close there, but Vasta Racer holds on to P5. But the more they battle, the more chance there is they'll lose that DRS they both got on Aero.
Yeah, that was great stuff from Vasta Racer. I think that was right on the edge and really impressive stuff to make that work. And to not, as you said, you really have the danger of losing out on DRS, losing that time, that gap to the cars ahead. And he managed to make that overtake without doing that. So We'll see. Maybe he'll try to make it 2 overtakes in 2 laps here as he picks up the DRS and slipstream off of Arrow on the run down towards the heavy braking zone at turn 3. But no, he's going to stay behind for the meantime. Let's see if he's going to try anything on the run down towards the next heavy braking zone that we have, as they, of course, are back to back to back when it comes to heavy braking zones here at Austria. But no, he's going to be a couple of car lengths too far back. He may just be taking a lap or 2 just to settle down, build up his ERS a little bit. Oh, just up the road!
Yeah, how was Javi Vera? I think he tried to move down the inside of Schumacher there, down in towards turn 4. Just saw in the distance there that he got a massive amount of oversteer. He was down the inside, and of course, being down the inside there hasn't got a lot of grip. But at the moment, he's now fallen into the clutches of Aero then. So I wonder if that was a move by Javi Vera, or was it Schumacher defending hard to the inside? Difficult to tell right now. What's important, though, is that Javi Vera has now fallen straight into the clutches of Aero right behind.
Look at that. Once again, just about nearly missed out on the DRS, but again, the car that gets slowed down in the middle sector is able to claw that back, keep with him 1 second, make sure he picks up the DRS on the start-finish straight, and I think that has saved Javi Vera right there. He managed to recover well enough to avoid missing out on the DRS on Schumacher, and I think that's going to save him potentially multiple positions even, as we're going to get a replay of exactly that. On board with Javi Vera, this is descending down the hill now, coming out of turn 3. And let's see, is he going to try just a late braking maneuver up the inside with Schumacher there? He collects him a little bit. They make contact. He gets onto the curbing a little bit, back and tries to step out on him. He does manage to recover, though. Goes very defensive into the left-hander. You're not going to go around the outside through 2 separate left-handers back-to-back. To go around the outside of 6 and 7 would be truly incredible. So good driving, good recovery from Javi Vera there. He's still got a few laps left to try and pick up that P2.
And there is one of the Ferraris there trying to go up the inside. That's Matthias, who tried to go up the inside at turn 9 on Nardi before he realised, actually, that's not a conventional overtaking opportunity, as we now make our way down the start-finish straight. 3 laps to go, 2 and a bit if you're picky. Matthias here is right on the back of Nardi then as we make our way in through turn 1. It's all about getting a good exit, and Nardi looked like he got a little bit of oversteer, spun up the rear tyres slightly on the exit of 1. Here comes Matthias then. Does he get the run? He's going to look down the inside in towards turn 3 then. No, he doesn't. No, I've just built up all that drama for nothing. Matthias decided to stay behind there. Maybe a run down towards turn 4.
Yeah, very, very, very close racing. I mean, the fact that everybody is still... There we go. Klastani actually just dipped outside the 1 second range, but then got right back in it. But the fact that everybody is so close after this many laps of racing as well is extremely impressive. I fear, though, Klastani is struggling. I don't know if it's with tires or something like that, but it seems that is the biggest gap at the moment within the top 10. Dario, though, with that penalty, that's certainly gonna hurt him quite a bit, especially with the field being so close right behind him. Back on board with Javi Vera, though, as we start the penultimate lap of this race. Again, 2 difficult races in a row. He's certainly going to be looking for a podium here. We know he's got the pace, this Javi Vera, to score a podium. He's probably got the pace to win a race as well, too. He's just had some really atrocious luck. But up ahead, look at that, Schumacher and Tymon are battling now.
They are indeed, and Schumacher's having to go the long way round in towards turn 3. Tymon gets a little bit of oversteer. They're going to be side by side, but Tymon this time will have the DRS run down towards turn 4 and the inside line. Schumacher's going to defend now that inside line as he pulls ahead then up the inside. He has to defend, and Schumacher takes the lead here at the Austrian Grand Prix with only a handful of kilometres to go. Give it 10 at best kilometres to go around this circuit, and now we have a new race leader in Schumacher, who's made that move into turn 3 and managed to hold on through turn 4. There's your new race leader, and Tymon's down to 2nd.
Wow, I really did not expect that. We know Schumacher is quick, though. Again, going from 11th to 3rd at the Chinese Grand Prix just a few weeks ago, back in December. But taking the lead of the race from Tymon, who was the one-time championship leader, actually, and one of the 3 race winners that we've had as well. It's really impressive stuff, and you have to say he's looking very confident, actually. Since making that overtake, he's built a bit of a gap. But look at this, Javi Vera now on Tymon. In the background there, it looks like they're going to be side-by-side into turn 3.
Yeah, Vera is now going to have to go the long way round in towards turn 3, but that's going to encourage Aero to have a go as well, who, as we look back at Aero there, Javi Vera couldn't quite get that move done. As we're on to the final lap here, down towards turn 4 we go, and now Aero can't quite find a move. He's way too far back there, but Schumacher, all he has to do really now, I say all he has to do, because it's trying to hold back time, and then for the last 2.5 kilometers as we make our way through turn 6 and then through turn 7, flicking the car in and hoping that the Aero will keep you planted to the floor. Schumacher then over the crest he goes towards turns 9 and 10, and who could have predicted that? Towards the end of this race, Schumacher made that move at the last possible moment, and he now rounds the final corner. It's going to be a race win for Marcel Olstein. He takes a win, and we go 4 from 4 races here. Timon in second place, Javi Vera in third, with Aero fourth, Vasta Racer across the line in fifth, with Domi sixth, ending his podium run. Klasani 7th, with Nardi in 8th, Matthias 9th, and Dario rounds out the top 10. But there is your first race win of this season for Marcel Olstadt. He will be absolutely thrilled with that one. Made the move as late as possible and gets the win as the reward. What a race that was, Justin. I mean, we had some great battling all the way through, last-minute moves, and Schumacher there voted the in-game driver of the day. I have to say, Justin, can we do that one again?
That was really something. I am really impressed by that. And for the second time today, the driver who finished second is now going to take the lead of the championship. Really just proving once again that it's not just about race wins, it's about consistency. And Domi, I think, after that slightly worse, finishing off the podium for the first time, I think Domi is now going to lose the championship to Timon, who's going to retake it as we get our 4th winner in 4 races.
Fantastic stuff. And there is Marcel Olstadt with his first race win of the season. And then we have, of course, Timon Shooter in second place. And then in that, Javi Vera, of course, Javier Perez getting the rest of the podium finished off. And then it is Aero, Vasta Racer, Domi, Klasani, Nardi, Matthias, and Dario rounds out the top 10. There's Gil in 11th place. He had the fastest lap of the race. And once again, no fastest lap bonus point because you have to be inside the top 10 to reap the rewards of that one. Name changer, Boss, Zach, and Simo round off that top 15. And unfortunately, Petrix left the session. Internet troubles have been hampering him all day today. Not the debut he really wanted at the start of this one. And he is a mid-season driver as well. Now it comes down to really 6 races to get some good points on the board. But a great day for Marcel Olstadt for his first win of the season. A great day for Timon Shooter, who theoretically takes back the lead of the series.
And a great race for Javi Vera as well. I know I've talked about him quite a bit. I promise he hasn't paid me or anything like that, so there's no biases going on there. But yeah, he, again, you know, we saw how quick he was in the first race. Had 2 difficult races. Back on the podium though, has recovered quite well, and I imagine he's going to be thrilled about that. Aero as well in 4th. I imagine is going to be pretty happy. Vasta Racer with 2 top 5s and a win today. That, you know, that's a solid result too. Again, if I'm these guys, focus on the positives, and for a lot of these guys, there were a number of positives today.
And of course, we have to talk about Javi Vera a little bit there. It looked like he had the pace, a huge amount of pace towards the end there. Almost got the move done on Schumacher, who then went on to win the race. A day what that could have been for Javi Vera.
Yeah, I would say definitely he's thinking about it. But again, I would imagine he's just happy to have a good result after, you know, the bad luck that he's had so far. But Schumacher as well. I got to say, that's a bit of a surprising one. Just to remind everyone, race 1 back in Vietnam, Schumacher actually finished outside of the points. Then he had that podium. Then he had a 4th earlier today, and now he's got a race win. So he's got a podium, a 4th, and a win out of 4 races. That's a solid start right there.
I mean, it is, all things considered. And of course, we'll have to wait until all the points are tallied up by someone that's better at maths than me to make sure that nothing goes wrong there. And of course, if there are any stewards' inquiries, they will be reported and then taken into account as well. So a little bit of time to wait, but Justin and I can really take you through that Austrian Grand Prix. One of the quickest races we'll have of the series, less than 19 minutes to get that race fully completed. And I have to say there, it was a good drive from Marcel Olstadt, but well, there aren't any other drivers that caught your eye out there, Justin.
I mean, they were all so similarly paced in that race, but in a way that kind of makes Schumacher's result even more impressive. Because yeah, really everybody out there seemed right on the same sort of level when it comes to lap times and stuff like that. And that was evidenced by that train, by that DRS train. Everybody was so close, and I think that's what ended up hurting Vaster Racer. By the way, I don't know if that's something that we saw on camera, but I think Vaster Racer got caught up in the pits. That was a note that I got from the stewards. Not a penalty or anything like that, but they noticed that Vaster Racer really got held in the pits quite a bit, and I don't think that's something that we caught on camera. So, that's the kind of thing that you got to bounce back from as much as you can. But yeah, I think Schumacher probably impressed me the most just because everybody was so even, and despite that, he still won and didn't do it from pole position. You know what I mean? The fact that he had to make that overtake, and he did it on the at least one-time championship leader, and in fact new championship leader, I think, as well, just makes it that much more impressive. Really making a name for himself today, I would say.
Yeah, and he tried to make that move at the latest possible moment on that penultimate lap with a move up towards turn 3. I mean, it looked like he'd planned that from the very start.
Yeah, that's some 200 IQ stuff, and I respect it.
Well, absolutely. I mean, let's talk a little bit about Domi. He qualified outside of the top 5, something rare for him. His podium streak came to an end today. I mean, how do you think he's feeling after that one?
I imagine not too bad. He's still in the hunt for the championship, and as we've mentioned before, it's all about being in the top 6. That's what's really most important, more than anything else. That you might be, you want to pick up wins, you want to get overtakes, you want to, shoot up the middle of 2 cars and get a double overtake at Zandvoort. Like that stuff is all stuff that you want, of course, but more than anything else, the goal of these drivers is to get to the draft. You know what I mean? That is priority 1. And I imagine Domi is still feeling pretty confident after 4 out of 10 races. I imagine still feeling pretty confident about his chances to make it to that draft. And again, he is, I want to say, the driver with the most podiums, or he might be now tied with Timon for the driver with the most podiums. But at 3 podiums in 4 races, I mean, that's not something to scoff at. That is, something to put on the CV for sure.
Absolutely. And let's talk a little bit about Matthias van Erven here. I mean, he got caught in that little bit of traffic towards the end of the race, couldn't quite get up to those positions where maybe we're expecting him to finish in this one. I mean, there's still 6 races to go. He can surely turn this around.
Yeah, Matthias is one of those drivers that I think is maybe having the worst results compared to maybe where we would expect him to be. Which is honestly a compliment more than anything else. I don't want him to take that personally or anything, but yeah, certainly I would expect him to be a little bit higher up. And I imagine he expects himself to be a little bit higher up. He's not had the best of luck. Things just haven't really been going his way. But again, there are still 3 events still to go. Top 6. It's not about crowning a champion. It's not like the champion gets a drive on a top team. It's top 6. So there's a number of seats. He's still in it mathematically. I would imagine everybody is still in it mathematically. I would be very, very surprised if anybody is out of it at this point, because of course, with 6 races to go and 26 points on offer, that's 156 points still on offer if you get first with fastest lap every single time. But with such big gaps between the races, I'd say that's possible. This has been very interesting today, actually. We saw quite a shakeup from Event 1, and I don't know if all of that is down to just the nature of the circuits we're racing at. I think some of that is people who, maybe didn't have the best Event 1, and they just really buckled down and invested a lot of time on practicing leading up into this event, and clearly that's paid off.
Yeah, and of course, they will now be looking to their next event, which is next month, of course, where they head to Silverstone and Spa, 2 really classic circuits in Formula One. And I'm looking forward to not only seeing what the types of strategies are going to be, but also just revisiting some of the most classic circuits on this calendar that we have here in the series.
Yeah, really S-tier tracks, if you ask me. Let's not get into the whole like ranking system like they do on social media and stuff. But if we were going to get into that, Silverstone and Spa would be right at the top, certainly of my list. Those are 2 absolutely fantastic tracks and very, very different from what we're seeing. You could say Austria and Silverstone share a bit of similarities, actually, in terms of the amount of on-throttle time and the amount of high-speed corners, changes of direction, that kind of thing. I'd say the Red Bull Ring and Silverstone share a few similarities, but just by lap length and that kind of stuff, it's very, very different to Spa and Silverstone, what we raced at today in the Netherlands and Austria. So as with from event 1 to 2, we are seeing another big change, and again, that's just another great opportunity for one of these drivers to really shine. Somebody who, like Matthias, who maybe has not had a great time, that's his opportunity to come out and get back-to-back wins and completely kickstart his season.
Yeah, absolutely. And we head to two of the shortest tracks that we have in the series. Then we go over to two of the longest as well. In fact, Spa being the longest at just over 7 kilometers. I mean, it's going to be great for those drivers. They'll be now focused on those two tracks. I think that the only tracks they'll be doing for the next month will be Silverstone and Spa. But that's, of course, not it for the rest of the fields as well. We've got Xbox tomorrow, and then we've got PC on Thursday. We get to do it all again, Justin.
Really looking forward to it. And I would expect the exact same level of competition. Last time out, it was fantastic for all 3 platforms. Historically, since 2017, since this all started, that's what we've seen is incredible racing across all of the platforms. So we're expecting more of that this week. We certainly expect everybody to tune in for those races as well. Even if you're somebody that races on PlayStation and watches league races on PlayStation, it's a good idea to tune in for the other platforms as well, if only because you might pick up a few tips. One thing that we've talked about in the past that I'm going to mention once again is that it's a bit unfortunate for these PlayStation guys, because they're kind of the guinea pigs for all of this. And the Xbox and PC drivers get to sit and watch and see how their race unfolds, and sit and take notes the whole time. So it's unfortunate for these PS4 guys that they just have to go in kind of blind. Well, I say blind, with dozens of hours, maybe hundreds of hours of practice, but they don't have the benefit of seeing the other guys at this level. And again, all 3 platforms are at the same level. That's what we see when the drivers get to the Pro Series. We see it's anybody's game.
Yes, absolutely. And of course, you can tune in same time tomorrow and Thursday at 7 p.m. GMT to see how those races unfold. For now, though, we're still focused on PS4, of course. We're getting those race 1 and race 2 results finalized, and then we'll be able to bring you the championship standings after 4 races as we head towards next month for PS4. But I mean, Justin, are there any other drivers that have caught your eye? I mean, Name Changer being one of them. He got a couple of solid points today. Do you see him coming up the order a bit more?
Yeah, certainly. I think he's going to be, he's going to see the stuff that went right this week, and he's certainly going to be looking to improve on that for next time. And again, it's very interesting, this sport, because at each venue you have people that are better or worse. When you go to football or baseball or pretty much any other sport that involves a ball, every location is identical. The pitch is the same length, the goal is the same size, all of that kind of stuff. But with racing, you're going to have people that are good at one track and bad at another track. And that's one of the great parts about this, is that we get this shakeup. We've seen that already. Just after today's races, we've seen the shakeup from one event to the other, and that's certainly something that I'm expecting to see. So Name Changer definitely, as does everybody else, all of these guys have a great opportunity to try and turn things around. If they haven't had the best start to their season, 2 very, very different circuits are coming up next, and these are also very well-known circuits as well too. I can't imagine there are too many circuits that have been driven more in F1 games than Belgium and Silverstone. The number of laps that are being turned at those 2 circuits in the Codemasters F1 games year after year is probably in, I don't know, millions, billions? I have no idea. It's an incredibly big number.
Closer to trillions, I would say.
Yeah.
If I was to hazard a guess, if I was to hazard one, of course. We saw some good races as well from Aero as well. I mean, he found himself battling for those podiums as well. And that is, of course, Duncan Hofland, who's doing some really good performances at the moment. He's certainly got the pace, but when you bring together 16 of the fastest drivers that we found on PS4, your life's always going to be made difficult for you. If you can find yourself constantly battling for those points and for those high scoring positions, you're doing a good job, aren't you?
Yeah, absolutely. And I think Aero, you're right, is one of those people that maybe is flying a little bit under the radar at the moment, but if I could just pull up, he got a points finish in Vietnam, finished 9th in Vietnam. He got a points finish sixth place, so just outside the top 5 in China. And then today picking up a sixth, and these aren't 100% finalized yet, but a sixth and a fourth. So no podiums, but consistently in the points and threatening those podiums. But certainly, if I were him, I would be looking to get on that podium. You know what I mean? Get your name noticed. You know, these are the people that finish on the podiums and stuff like that. They're the people that are going to get tagged on social media and stuff like that. It's definitely a bit of a boost to your notoriety, to getting the teams to notice you and stuff like that. So he's off to a great start with that consistency. Again, he's flying a little bit under the radar, but that's better than being seen as like a driver who's crashed out 4 races in a row. You know, someone who's well known for not doing well. That would be very bad. But Aero, I think, is going to be definitely looking. If I were him, I would maybe focus on Silverstone or Spa and try to get a podium at one of those 2 races, because he's got the consistency clearly. So, you know, if he's got one of those 2 tracks coming up that he's a little bit better at than the other, maybe just put in a little bit more hours at that one and try to just get that last step to get onto the podium and just get yourself noticed a little bit more.
Yeah, and obviously he's been showing some good pace, and you know, if his least successful race so far has been the first one, which was 9th, then you're going and stepping in the right direction at least. And of course, as we keep saying, it is the top 6 that progress into that next stage of each platform to get themselves to that next round. Of course, maybe someone who did fly under the radar was Isaac Hajar in Zach in that Renault. I mean, you know, he fell fairly under that radar, but I mean, do you see him making some progress over the next 3 events?
Yeah, definitely a difficult one for him. He's been having, I mean, he was off to a pretty good start. He got a top 5 for the first race in Vietnam, but yeah, event 2 did not really go his way. It was pretty difficult outside the points here at Austria, and outside the points again, actually, and picking up those penalties as well in the Netherlands for the Dutch Grand Prix. So yeah, certainly there's going to be some work to be done. I imagine he's going to be disappointed about that one. All of these guys they're all hugely competitive, and I imagine, because not all of these guys race together in leagues, you know, and stuff like that, I'm sure a lot of them have a lot of experience racing with each other. You know, they're all top guys on the PS4 platform. They're all among the best of the best. So it's only likely that, and in fact, a lot of them are like teammates, for example. You know, you have like the Shazoo and Visceral and all of those kinds of guys. So they're very, very familiar with one another, comrade, etc. So, but at the same time, they've never raced together. This group of 16 has never raced together. So it's just, you know, throws up some variables in there. They're racing against people that they maybe don't have that experience against, and they're getting a little bit surprised actually by some of these guys, I would expect.
Absolutely, and we're not far away now from finding out those race standings at the moment. But of course, if you want to see the official overall standings, you'll have to check social media afterwards at Formula One Game. That's Formula #1 Game. You can find out all the results there. But we'll take you through the classified results now in a moment for race number 3, I do believe, which will be at the Netherlands. I don't think there were many penalties we had at that moment in time, but there you can see the classified results now. Bruffa does get a win there at the Netherlands. Domenico Lavecce in second, Dario Yemolo with his first podium of the season. There you can see Tymon Shooter in 4th, with Bernardo Perez in 5th, Duncan Hoffman 6th, Klasani in 7th place, Darunya in 8th, Hammerleinen in 9th, and Van Erven rounding out that top 10. Just take you through the rest of the order there. Diego Rossi, Marcel Olstadt, Simone Iamotti, and Isaac Hajar all finishing in that 14th position. Javier Perez and Gianpietro Oggiano unfortunately did not see the checkered flag. We saw that Oggiano did have connection issues all the way through, and Perez retired from the race. So there you can see the official results for round number 4. Oldstad making it 4 from 4 different races, 4 different winners. He gets his first win of the season with Tybert Shooter in second place, Javier Perez rounding off the podium. Then it's Hofland, Bruffa, Lavecce, Klasani, Perez, Van Erven and Yemolo who round off those top 10 point scoring positions. And to take you through the rest of the order there, Darunya, Hammerleinen, Rossi, Hajar and Yamotti rounding off those top 15 finishing positions. Again, Gianpietro Argiano couldn't quite have his internet working in the right way today. Interesting to note then, no fastest lap bonus points awarded in either race because both of those were outside of the top 10. So really interesting to see that one. Only in PS4, one time has the points for the fastest lap actually been given in a race. So that's pretty interesting to see. But hopefully you have enjoyed tonight's stream here. Justin, I mean, sum up tonight's event for PS4 in just a couple of sentences. I mean, I've enjoyed it.
I can do it in 5 words. Best overtake of the year.
I mean, it's only January. That's a big statement, Justin. It's a huge statement. But hopefully you've agreed with that as well. Hopefully you've enjoyed the action as well. Tune in tomorrow when we go to Zandvoort and Spielberg once again. Only this time, we'll let the 16 of the fastest Xbox drivers out there and see what happens. From myself, Kieran McGidley, and from Justin Sutton, we will see you back here at 7 p.m. Greenwich Mean Time. In the meantime, thank you very much for watching. Take care of yourselves, and we will see you very soon. Good night.